Sydney, and since I'm asking you all where you're from, I'll let you know where I'm from as well. I am from Austin, Texas, and currently still live here. I sit on the customer success team within Kahoot for 2 years, I believe, as of this week. So I'm just hitting my 2-year anniversary with Kahoot, which is very exciting. And I help support educators through K-12 and also higher education who decide to adopt the Kahoot EDU subscription that's available for schools and districts and campuses and departments to bring many educators under one EDU subscription, giving you the tools that you need with every Kahoot feature that we currently offer. So I help instruct and teach educators on how to use and make the most out of our features within Kahoot. And my favorite Kahoot features at the moment, they change all the time, but I love importing slides, which we're going to talk about because it is relevant to this topic. And I also love the assigning Kahoot way to play. Also, feel free to shout out your favorite Kahoot feature in the chat. I would love to know what some of your favorite Kahoot features are. So let's see if we see those coming in. On what are your favorite Kahoot features? Slider, word cloud, slider. Awesome. So we enjoy a lot of our different question types. That is great. Longhorn in the house, hook 'em. We're big UT fans here in this household. The podium, yes, the podium is so exciting. Those different games, game modes. I love that that's already someone's favorite feature in Kahoot. They are so new and they are so fun to play. So as we all know, Kahoot can be used in many different ways. I like to say Kahoot is a creative platform to begin with. But what we're going to focus on today is one of those ways to play, which is introducing and instructing on brand new content. I love that you're still putting in some of your favorite features as well, but I am curious, who does have some experience in using Kahoot to instruct on new content? Or do you use Kahoot mostly for review and for assessment? Feel free to let me know in that chat. Now, if you don't yet use Kahoot to introduce new topics, don't worry, that's what we're here to talk about today. So why introduce topics using Kahoot is the first section that we're going to go through. We're also going to talk about tips on designing and delivering Kahoots that introduce a new topic. And what are those features within Kahoot that allow you to do so, that make it easier for you to introduce new topics to your students? And don't worry, we will be going into the Kahoot platform itself, so you can see how I start to design and use some of these features. All right, so I see that there is a lot of you that use Kahoot for review. We are so good at using Kahoot for review, so that is great to see. And I hope that maybe after the session, you might be inspired to use Kahoot to also instruct on brand new content. This is also just exploring further integrating Kahoot into your lesson planning as a whole. So I hope that you will learn something new today. And thank you all so much for contributing in the chat. All right, so why introduce topics with Kahoot? Again, feel free to put your own opinions into the chat to converse amongst yourselves. But I have 3 reasons why I think you should introduce topics with Kahoot. So to start with, it can put all students on a level playing field. So rather than assessing students' knowledge on what you believe they should already know, really creating a competition only with those who are maybe stronger in that material, you can start with everyone at an even playing field with introducing and engaging students with content that they have not yet been exposed to. So it gives them all a chance to feel success and motivation in that Kahoot and during that learning experience. Now, you can also spark curiosity through engagement. Introducing new topics can be very difficult, especially if it's not engaging for the students. So Kahoot can be that tool to provide engagement to support their learning. Last but not least, you can instantly assess learning, and especially towards those learning objectives that you've planned out for your lesson with our Kahoot reports. So immediately after hosting a Kahoot that instructs on new content, you can review that report to see what students have been able to grasp during that time together, and also look at what potentially needs to be revisited in the future, making your job easier to inform you on future instruction. I'm just checking what's going on in the chat as well. To find out what students already know, yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that. I use it to introduce new topics to get a baseline before I teach. Absolutely. Using Kahoot to create that baseline to understand students' prior knowledge is an absolutely great way to use it as well. All right, so now how do we design and deliver a Kahoot that introduces a new topic? And I like to start off with this quote, which is from Stephanie Castle, who is an IB biology teacher and a great partner within Kahoot for a very long time now. But this is what Stephanie had to say: "We can structure our Kahoots very much like we structure our lesson plans." So in the previous session with Kahoot Academy, you learned a little bit about courses and how that can be designed. The same methodology can also be for a single Kahoot in creating both, where you can approach creating a Kahoot exactly like you would an entire lesson. So your mindset and your design of the learning experiences you create doesn't have to change. It's just choosing Kahoot as that vehicle. So let's talk about how to get started. So of course, we want to outline those learning objectives. So you want to ask yourself these questions. What is the topic? What do I want the students to understand and take away from this lesson? What are the key things I want them to know? And how is this topic related to prior learning? So that's already been mentioned in the chat, to assess prior understanding and learning. And also, how does it relate to their lives outside the classroom? Relating that content back to real world experiences can really help the students remain engaged in the topic that you're introducing. Now that you have those learning objectives mapped out and you're ready to start creating, these are some helpful tips that I recommend. So in the beginning of your Kahoot, it's a good idea to design some questions to allow students to feel successful early on. So what is that prior knowledge? What is how you're connecting it back to their real life? And add those questions in there so students can get excited, feel that motivation, and really feel that success early on, and spark their curiosity on the topic, making it interesting for them. Now, when you do decide during a Kahoot to really challenge the students, so you are planning on asking a question on something that has not been instructed on, you want to make sure that you're reinforcing the correct answer directly after. Also, too, as you are creating a playful learning experience and they're learning throughout the Kahoot, you want to provide students the opportunity to show what they're learning. So maybe you start off helping them feel a little bit successful, then you're going to challenge the students in the middle, and then you want them to also feel successful at the end for them to apply what they have learned and understood throughout the lesson. Now, throughout the Kahoot, you always want to check in with the students and potentially give them an out. So if students are falling behind, you can provide answer options like "my head hurts" or "I'm a little bit lost" to indicate to you that you need to slow down, and check in with those students and maybe see if there are more in the class who are feeling the same. And we'll talk about some of those strategies for building in that breathing room so that no students are left behind. And of course, in our Kahoot Creator as well, you're able to customize the timer and points depending on the difficulty of the question. So if you are wanting to provide more time for students to answer, to provide an educated guess, you can customize the timer to be up to 4 minutes. So you can give students up to 4 minutes to submit the answer to the question. Now, tips for delivery. So once you have your Kahoot that's introducing a brand new topic, how are you going to deliver it? Well, there's more than one way to deliver a Kahoot that's introducing a new topic. So our two main ways to play is our live way to play, or also that start button. That is that synchronous option within Kahoot. So that's where you are actively hosting or setting up a game mode for students as well. And then students are all going through the Kahoot at the same pace. So if you are hosting this live and synchronously with students, if you come across a challenging question, you can ask students who got it correct why they picked that answer. Was it a actual just straight up guess, or did they take some context clues from earlier in the presentation or in the Kahoot to inform them on answering this question? So you can use it to start a discussion with the students and help them understand what they're actually learning throughout the experience. You can use our slides. We're going to talk about slides when we dive into those features. So you can use those slides to connect with the class and discuss until they're ready to move on. One of the key features about slides that I love the most is that there is no time associated to them. So you can really, again, build in that breathing space and allow that time to connect back with your students to make sure you're all on the same page. Now, again, after that Kahoot is hosted, you always want to review that report so you can decide what needs to be spiraled back into future instruction. I just had a peek over at the chat and you all are already suggesting so many great ideas. I see single screen being mentioned. I see the 4-minute time being mentioned. I also see some images being suggested as well. Media is always great to include in your Kahoot too, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. And yes, don't worry, this is recorded and will be available to you later to revisit. I know it's a lot of information. Now, another option you have to use this Kahoot is to assign the Kahoot. And why might you want to assign a Kahoot that introduces a new topic? Well, here's some suggestions below. And just as a reminder, assigning a Kahoot is our asynchronous way to play, where you're creating a link and then sharing that link with students to complete on their own time and at their own pace. So you can provide the assigned Kahoot to students who were absent, give them a very similar learning experience as the students who were in class with you. And so you can provide that to them for them to learn on their own. You can also provide the assigned Kahoot to students to review at home so they can study on their own. They can revisit that material that you covered in class that day so that they're able to show and experience what they've learned throughout it. Now, with our assigned way to play, you can turn off the question timer. I want to say that again. With our assigned way to play, you can turn off the question timer. So this does prioritize accuracy over speed, which allows students the time and the space to discover and find the answers for themselves, which is perfect when they're still in the stage of learning this particular topic that you're focusing on. Now, another strategy for assign that I love, and this works with less tech savvy participants maybe, so our younger learners that is used. If you generate an assignment link, you can open up that link and present your screen and actually go through the Kahoot together. So rather than students answering each question individually, as a class, you can answer the questions in the Kahoot, going through it all together at the same time. Now, don't worry, I didn't forget about our game modes, and I love that Steve earlier in the meetup mentioned this as well, but you can absolutely use game modes to introduce new material. So if you have a subject that you're expecting to teach soon, you can always use our Discover page to find a Kahoot on that particular topic. You don't even need to create it yourself, and you can expose students to that material in a fun and engaging way, promoting the objective to learn rather than assess. And within our game modes, there's the opportunity for students to repeat and re-answer questions, allowing for that repetition so that once you actually are ready to teach the topic, the students will be curious and hopefully excited to learn more, hopefully, and they may also be surprised as to what they already know. All right, so now we're going to dive into those ever awesome features that Kahoot has to offer to support that creation and that delivery. So we are going to start off with our slides. Now, do not worry, not every one of our slides is a paid feature. So slides are available to you even as a free user. So if you are a free user, you can use this as a strategy to introduce new material and reinforce key points as well. So as mentioned, you can use these slides to introduce new topics, new information, new material, reinforce an answer, after a question is asked. You can also provide an agenda and recap the key points and learning objectives and takeaways that you want the students to take home. Now, with these slides, there is no time limit, again, allowing for that breathing space in a Kahoot for you to really connect with your class. We have a total of 10 slide layouts where one is available for free, and that one does include the option to easily embed media into that slide. So you can add text, images, GIFs, and videos into our slide templates. Now, if you are a paid user of Kahoot, then you have access to import existing slides from presentations that you currently work with and have. Those are supported in PowerPoint, Keynote, Google Slides in the form of a PDF that can be imported into the Kahoot creator to create and design an entire interactive presentation. So let's actually hop into our Kahoot creator. So here's our Kahoot creator. And just so you know, I am on a Kahoot EDU subscription, just so you are aware. But whenever you want to add in those slides, you just choose that option to add a slide. Now, again, these are all the templates available to you if you are a paid Kahoot user, but you do have this classic slide if you are one of our free users as well. So here's where you can see that you can type in whatever you need to, whatever you're wanting to instruct and inform the students on. And there's this opportunity in the middle to embed those videos and also those different images as well, and GIFs and all of the other media that we do support. Now, again, if you are a paid user, you also have the option to import slides from existing presentations. So this is our slide importer where you can drag and drop or upload your presentations into the Kahoot creator. And again, these are our supported file formats. Now, what does that actually look like? I'm going to pop over to one of my Kahoots that already has slides imported. So this is where you can see these imported slides along the left-hand builder here, and how I have dotted in these different questions in between these slides. So this is what an entire interactive presentation looks like once you have created it. And you can see where material is introduced, you're then going to let students apply that learning. So whenever you are designing a Kahoot that introduces a brand new topic, you can decide, do I want to first present the information and then let students apply their learning? Or do I want to challenge the students and actually ask them the questions first and then use that as a way to go into the more instructional material through text and slides and video? So completely up to you. At the end of the day, you are the creator of this design or of this Kahoot. And so you really want it to be able to match your teaching style as well. So let's go to the next feature. Well, actually, not quite yet. We are interested in what students have to say about slides. So this is from a blog post from our Kahoot legend, that is Steve Auslander, and a blog post that he contributed to, which is linked in this slide deck. But Avery had to say that slides are super fun because you get to learn and read and put it all together with Kahoot. Marcos had to say that what I like about Kahoot slides is that when we are reading a page, there is no time limit, so there is no pressure. Steve, in this case, was using Kahoot for reading comprehension, using those slides to give students that time to read and then move through the Kahoot when everybody was ready to do so. And lastly, Mr. Auslander makes it super fun and you're learning while playing a competition. It's way better than doing worksheets. I love that one, and that is from Elijah. So, and I love Elijah's point as well, because it's learning while playing. And that's what Kahoot's really all about, is the learning while you're playing, not just testing and assessing what students should already know. All right, so you can make your slides even more powerful and your instruction more powerful by embedding videos. Now I want to head back to the chat and let me know, how often do you use videos in your instruction? So how often do you support your instruction with videos? I would love to know that in the chat, and we'll keep an eye on it as those start to come in. So videos are super useful. They can be used for building background knowledge on a topic, enriching the written content, deepening students' learning, and really applying those real world examples that they can take away, take home, and also learn more about on their own time. So in the Kahoot Creator, you can embed videos onto our slide templates, and that is supported through our integrations with YouTube and Vimeo. All right, so we have several times, all the time, rarely 3 times a week, at least once a week. Completely fair about security. We love security here at Kahoot too. So yeah, so you're already using video, so you can now build in that piece of your instruction into your Kahoots. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So I have this Kahoot here, and it's all about coral reef ecosystems. Now it's generally going through everything about coral reef ecosystems, but in this case, I am wanting to use this slide to embed a video about coral reef restoration. So let's go ahead and open up our media to hop into our videos And lo and behold, it's actually already even pulling up the videos that I'm interested in using on coral reef restoration, but you can also use the search bar up at the top. So I can include this YouTube video into this slide, and I can even decide where I want to start it and end. So you can use this same video and just present different segments throughout the Kahoot. So that also is an option for you to include videos into your Kahoot. But as you can see here, I've embedded the video onto my slide. So all the focus is going to be on the video. So students don't have to worry about paying attention to the video and answering questions at the same time. And let's preview what that looks like. So you can see here, I have complete control over this video. I can even adjust the volume. I can turn on those captions if available, take it full screen, and include text to support the video. So maybe I'm asking students to pay attention to something specific. And then as you create this Kahoot, you'll then want to support the video by asking students, what can we do to help coral reefs? So what can they reflect on after watching that video about how they're supporting coral reef restoration over on the Great Barrier Reef? You can also use the opportunity to assess what students learned after watching that video. And thank you again to everyone contributing in the chat. It's hard to do both at the same time, but I see it moving, which is awesome. So I'm running close to time. So last but not least is, of course, all of our lovely question types that we know and love. So many of you named a lot of our question types as some of your favorite features in Kahoot. So these are what I call the moments of engagement. So you can really design these however you need to support introducing that new topic and new material. So we're going to start off by talking about our testing knowledge question types. All of these, there is a correct answer. So this is where you can really challenge students, but you can also use them to ask students to apply what they've learned. And all of these questions will generate that accuracy-based reporting after the Kahoot is hosted or assigned. So it allows students to apply their learning throughout the lesson rather than at a later time, again, informing you on what they're grasping. You want to use these question types and tie them back into the main learning objectives that'll make assessing that report a little bit easier for you. These are the question types that helps build excitement and motivation for students to critically think through the questions, applying educated guesswork, as they will achieve points for accuracy. Next, we also have our open-ended question types or collecting opinion question types. And these are all paid features, just so you know. But you can use these to prompt thinking and also spark discussion. So you can gather opinions and actually still assess, engage, understanding, and knowledge without the pressure of points. So I would also love to know in the chat, have you ever used a quiz question like a poll where you take away the points and choose all the answers to be correct? It is an amazing workaround. I love workarounds, and that is definitely a workaround for poll, but we do actually have a poll question type. I can already see a couple of yeses in the chat, which again, I love workarounds. So amazing to whoever first discovered that. But we do actually have a poll question type that you can use if you do have access to it. So you can ask students, you know, have you heard of blank? What do you know about blank? What do you like about blank? And again, spark that curiosity with them using these question types where there are no points involved. You can also use them to practice retrieval without prompts, such as an example of, what is one thing you learned today? How great would it be to include that open-ended question at the end of a Kahoot for them to recall and remember what is one thing they really took away from this lesson. That is also great to inform you on what was most interesting to the students. How does that help you in the future when you're also introducing new topics? And one question type that I do want to really touch on and focus on, just because I think it is very supportive of instructing a new piece of information while still helping every student feel successful, is this slider question was asked earlier, but I'm using that example of the Parthenon. So with slider, you can customize the answer margins. So if you were really assessing for only the correct answer and only wanting to give points to students who submit the correct answer, you can make that answer margin none. But my personal favorite answer margin is maximum. Every student will get points for answering this question, but they will just get more points the closer they are to the correct answer. So you can use this question type to, again, instruct and inform them on a piece of information where the answer is a number, but you can still help students feel successful in their learning if they even are submitting their best guess and they don't know that piece of information yet. If you are using a question type like this, where you're not expecting them to know the correct answer, but you're seeing how they're going to respond, again, you do just want to reinforce that afterwards. And I do just want to take a look at the chat. I love that people didn't know about the workaround. It does exist, but our poll question, again, makes it very easy for you to do. Yes, talking about why things are correct or incorrect is a great learning opportunity. That is awesome, Maria. And I also agree with word clouds using to collect and what they learned in a fun way. So it looks like you all have been having a really great conversation in the chat, which is awesome. I hope you've taken away something from this session about introducing new topics with Kahoot. And what's also great about introducing new topics with Kahoot is you already have material that you can use for your review Kahoots. So rather than just creating those, you can use what you've already created whenever you've introduced the material. And that is the end of my session, giving 2 minutes back to our time together. But I did just link my Twitter handle in here. If you do want to connect with me, you can. I'll also be in the chat as well after this session. And I do appreciate you staying and listening and engaging in the chat. And Hannah, I'll take it back to you.